I'm sure the older people in your life have told you that life was better when I was younger. They'll say stupid things like Coca-Cola tasted better. The cartoons when I was younger, they were much better than the cartoons you're watching now. Sport when I was your age, sport was so interesting. Now sport isn't as good. The grass was greener when I was your age. Whatnot. It's like everyone. In fact, I am a part of those people. I have many things where I'll say that, this was better when I was younger. And while I was reading this book, it's called Reality Transurfing. It's this quantum physics book, but that's not important. The concept of the video is that people always believe that things were better when they were younger. And I thought about it critically. The book caused me to think about it critically. And I realized that most people you meet on a day-to-day basis, they will express the belief that things were better when they were younger. The world was better when they were younger. And I thought about it critically. I was like, if the world was actually objectively better when they were younger, and every single generation has been saying this. Even in the Bible, there are verses of how it says that the youth will never be as good, or the youth are always getting worse, stuff like that, right? If objectively that was true, that things were getting worse, by now the world would be a living hell. We wouldn't have electricity, we wouldn't have any function, because the world would have to get worse and compound effects. Let's say the world was getting 1% worse every year. We are thousands of years deep. So if the world was getting 1% worse every year and we're thousands of years deep, right? Surely the world should be a living hell. There should be fire everywhere. There should be sulfur bursting out of the ground, lava coming from the skies. But it's not. When you think about it objectively, and you ask yourself, has the world gotten better when I was younger? Are there improvements? Are there progressions that have been made since I was younger? The answer for everyone alive is yes. Look, I'm not going to lie. In some countries, there has been... some countries have gotten worse. Some countries have gotten worse. But to say that things were better when I was younger, you'd have to be very specific. To say that life was better when I was younger, you have to be very specific. Because I asked myself, my life has improved since I was younger. All those things that I asked for, that freedom to drive, being able to go out whenever I want to, having friends, being able to drink. I've never wanted to drink. I just know some of you want to, so I just included the example. But all these freedoms that we have now that we look forward to, think about it. There were so many things that you used to look forward to when you were younger, like the ability to drive, especially. I don't know, just being old, having facial. These were so many things that you look forward to, and now you have them, and you think that your life has gotten worse. But the truth is, your life hasn't gotten worse. I think it's just natural that human beings naturally focus on the negative things, because for us to have survived this long, we need to have been aware of the negative things, aware of the danger, aware of any negative things so that we could shield ourselves from danger, right? And now we live in an age where this isn't as necessary. It is always necessary to be aware of the negative things, but in this day and age, it isn't as necessary as when we were flipping farmers and we're living next to lions and cougars and jaguars, or in the jungles of the Amazon, right? It's not as necessary. What I've said in summary is that progress has definitely been made. When you look at the world objectively, it has improved. And then another reason why it doesn't make sense that the world is getting worse is because as you are in this period where you're the world is getting worse, the young people in the period where they're this is the best, they're in that period where they'll look back and be life is amazing, right? Life is this and that. And you could bring on the argument that, if life actually is getting worse and worse and worse, whenever someone's younger, it'll always be the best period of their life because life is getting worse. That does make sense. I don't know how to come against that argument. I actually don't. So if you have that argument, then just have to put my hands up and let it go.
I think I just have to just raise my hands and I'll let it go. Yeah.
I think that this idea that life was better when we were younger comes as a result of taking things for granted and focusing on the negative things. So the fact that we can drive, we take it for granted. But there was a time where we wished we could drive. The fact that we have the freedom to go out whenever we want to, we take it for granted. But there was a time we wanted to. We have the freedoms that we wish for. We have the improvements that we wish for when we were younger that we were looking forward to, right? But because we have more responsibilities, because we've been exposed to more of the negative sides of this world, we believe that life has gotten worse. Life hasn't gotten worse. We just have more information about the world we're dealing with. And you can say that because we have more information, we realize that this world is what. But you having less information, you having more information doesn't change the nature of the world. It's just changed your perception of it. So at the end of the day, all this is is a perception. You can control your perception. So I thought to myself, what would happen if you told yourself that life is better? Like, would that have a positive effect? Because if you tell yourself that life is better, you're constantly going to look for things that affirm that idea that life is better. So I've been telling myself that, life is improving this whole year, right? And I'll find stupid things to be happy about. So the other day I had to put my dog on the chain because someone was coming and they were scared of the dogs. So normally when I take my dog off the chain, I always tell him to sit because, building obedience, right? So I always tell him to sit when I'm taking off the chain. Normally he will sit, and as soon as I start taking off the chain, he'll stand up because he gets excited. But this day, it was last week, I told him sit. I said it calmly, and he sat until I unscrewed the chain, and then once the chain was off, he just he walked away, and he's been sitting ever since that day properly. And when he did it for the first time, I was so excited. I was like, that's improved. Life is better because now the dog is better. The dog is improved. So it's going to compound over time. And I know it's a weird way of looking at things. But when you hold the belief that, life is better now than it was, you will force your mind to find things that affirm that life is better. And I propose that you start, or you run this thought experiment where you gaslight yourself into believing that life is better now than it used to be. Because honestly, you have nothing to lose. Because the belief that life was better when I was younger, it doesn't serve you because it makes you enjoy the present moment less. Whereas, if you tell yourself that life is better now than when I was younger, you're going to enjoy the present moment more. And what do you think can come from having a positive attitude? I'm only a few months deep into this thought experiment, and it's made life more peaceful. I can say that for certain. But I'm yet to see the compounding effect of it. So, if you don't want to be left behind by me, I guess you should hop on to this philosophy. Do it or get left behind. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed that video. I'll catch you, gents, in the next one tomorrow. Cheers, gents.